I used to think addiction only ruined my life. I was wrong. By the time I realized how many people I'd dragged down with me, there was no fixing it, and no one left to forgive me. Throwaway account because some people involved are still out there living their lives, and I don't want to be a shadow hanging over them. I'm writing this because I genuinely don't know if I'm the villain in my own story or just another excuse-making addict trying to feel better about a bad ending. So, AITA? I'm 32 now. For most people, that's still young. For me, it feels like I've already lived 3 different lives and burned every bridge in each one. My addiction didn't start the way movies show it. There was no dramatic first hit, no dark alley, no instant spiral. It started quietly, almost boringly, which is part of why I didn't take it seriously until it was too late. In my early 20s, I was doing fine. Not amazing, but fine. I had a steady office job, a long-term girlfriend named Emily, a small apartment we shared, and plans that sounded good when you said them out loud. Marriage, someday. A house, eventually. Kids, when we're ready. I also had anxiety. The kind you hide well. The kind where you still show up on time, still smile at coworkers, still laugh at jokes, but inside, your chest feels tight all day, like you're bracing for bad news that never quite arrives. When I hurt my back lifting boxes at work, the doctor prescribed pain medication. I didn't question it. I didn't abuse it at first. I took exactly what I was told. And for the first time in years, my body didn't hurt, and neither did my mind. That's the part people don't talk about enough. It wasn't just pain relief. It was quiet. The constant noise in my head finally turned down. When the prescription ended, I noticed the noise came back louder. I told myself that was normal. I told myself I just needed help sleeping. I told myself a lot of things. I went back to the doctor. Then another one. Then I learned how to exaggerate symptoms without sounding obvious. I hated myself for it, but not enough to stop. Emily noticed before anyone else. She'd ask why I seemed distant. Why I was always TI. Red. Why I snapped over small things. I told her work was stressful. That my back still hurt. That everything was fine. It wasn't fine. By the time I was buying pills from a coworker, I knew something was wrong. By the time I was hiding money, I knew exactly what I was doing. I still didn't stop. Addiction makes you incredibly selfish, but it also makes you incredibly convincing, to yourself most of all. That I told myself I deserved relief. I told myself I'd quit once life calmed down. I told myself Emily didn't understand how hard things were for me. Eventually, she stopped asking questions and started making statements. You're not the same person anymore. I feel like I'm living with a stranger. I don't trust you. The night she found pills in my backpack, everything collapsed. She cried. I got defensive. She begged me to get help. I promised I would. That I meant it in the moment. I really did. But promises made during withdrawals are fragile things. I didn't get help. I just got better at hiding. Over the next 2 years, my life shrank. Friends stopped inviting me out because I always canceled. My parents worried, but I kept conversations short. Emily eventually moved out. The day she left, she told me, I love you, but I can't drown with you. At the time, I thought that was cruel. Now, I think it was honest. Without her income, my finances fell apart fast. I missed rent. I borrowed money I couldn't repay. I lied to people who trusted me. Then I lost my job. Officially, it was performance issues. Unofficially, I showed up late, unfocused, and sometimes not at all. That should have been rock bottom. It wasn't. Rock bottom, it turns out, has a basement. I moved back in with my parents at 28. They had rules. No substances in the house. Mandatory counseling. Random check-ins. I agreed to everything. And broke almost all of it. I stayed clean just long enough to regain a little trust. Then I relapsed quietly. Then less quietly. The night my father found me passed out in the garage, something in him changed. He didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just looked tired. They gave me an ultimatum, long-term rehab or I had to leave. I chose rehab. Not because I was ready, but because I had nowhere else to go. Rehab worked, kind of. I stayed sober for almost a year afterward. I got a part-time job. I rented a room. I even apologized to Emily, not to get her back, but because she deserved it. She accepted the apology but kept her distance. She was engaged by then. I told myself that was fair. Then, one bad week happened. A death in the family. Extra shifts. Sleepless nights. That familiar noise came back. I convinced myself I could handle, just one time. That relapse was worse than all the others combined. It wasn't gradual. It was a free fall. Within 6 months, I lost the job, the room, and what little trust my parents had rebuilt. This time, they didn't give ultimatums. They told me they loved me, but they couldn't keep watching me destroy missile. They stopped answering my calls. That's the part people judge them for when I tell this story. But here's the truth, they had already tried everything. I ended up crashing on couches, then in my car, then nowhere at all. I burned every remaining bridge asking for help and breaking every promise attached to it. Eventually, people stopped responding. The bad ending isn't dramatic. No cinematic moment. No sudden redemption. The bad ending is silence. I'm sober now. Not newly sober. Not trying. Actually sober. 2 years and counting. But sobriety didn't fix what I broke. My parents still keep their distance. We talk on holidays. Carefully. Politely. Like people afraid of stepping on broken glass. Emily doesn't speak to me at all anymore. I don't blame her. Most of my old friends are strangers now. They have kids. Careers. Lives that moved on without me. I work a job that pays the bills. I live alone. I follow the rules. I do everything right. And still, I sit with the weight of knowing that the damage I caused doesn't disappear just because I got better. Here's where the AITA part comes in. Recently, my younger cousin reached out. He's struggling with his own addiction. He asked if he could stay with me while he figured things out. I said no. I told him I wasn't strong enough to be someone else's safety net. That I couldn't risk my sobriety. That I didn't trust myself in that situation. My family thinks I'm being selfish. They say I of all people should understand. That I owe it to him to help because I know what it's like. Maybe they're right. But I also know what it's like to drag everyone down with you. I know how addiction feeds on proximity, on shared excuses, on mutual weakness. I don't want to be the reason someone else hits their basement. So I walked away. Again. That's why I'm here, asking strangers on the internet. AITA for choosing myself this time, even though I didn't when it mattered most. Because the worst part of addiction isn't losing everything. It's realizing that even when you survive it, the ending doesn't magically turn good. Sometimes, all you get is the chance not to make it worse.